We're walking today in Biscuit Basin, just a few miles north of Old Faithful. One of the first things you will notice are the warning signs at the beginning of the boardwalk. This is because the thermal areas can be dangerous if you do not stay on the beside path. The ground around the thermal areas can be fragile and is not always as solid as it looks. It is possible to walk around the thermal areas and step through the ground into boiling, sometimes boiling acidic water that can cause injury or even death. The boardwalks allow you to get closer to and see the thermal effects safely. The boardwalks also protect the thermal effects from visitors. Both its delicate terraces and crusts, as well as the bacterial mats that give it all its beautiful colors. If you'll look to the bottom of that smoke flume in the distance there's a very small geyser erupting. You can just see it come up above the surface. As we walk, you may wonder, why call it Biscuit Basin? Sapphire Pool originally had biscuit-shaped formations around its edge, but following the 1959 earthquake, it actually erupted as a geyser, and when it did so, all the biscuit-shaped formations were blown off, and they have not reformed. As you look to the left, you will see the brown color of some of the bacterial mats from the thermal effects. You'll also notice that it is growing small terraces where mineral deposits from the water are left behind. These terraces are formed the same way that the much larger ones at Mammoth Hot Springs were formed. And all those beautiful colors are because of microorganisms. As you look into this pool, you see how clear the water is and how deep it looks. until you remember just how hot that water really is. It's been superheated by magma beneath the earth. Hot enough to cause severe burns. And some of the pools are even more acidic than battery acid. So their calm beauty is a little deceiving. This part of the boardwalk makes a loop. So we'll go straight and then we'll loop around and come back out on the other side. Where you see the plain white ground is places where the pool's water used to run off. And as we approach this pool, if you look in the calm water of the terraces surrounding it, you can actually see a reflection of the mountains and the sky as we walk by. As you look across the landscape, you will see both dead trees and green trees. And this is a testament to the ever-changing water flows of the springs. There were trees here. The water flows changed, causing the trees to suck up minerals, eventually killing the trees, and leaving behind the soil with the mineral deposits in it. Later, the water runoff from the springs changed, and now it flows in a different direction, or sometimes doesn't flow at all anymore. So then you have green trees growing back in the places where the other ones died. Several things can cause the water flow from a spring or a geyser to change. One of them is just a change in the water supply coming up from the ground. It comes from miles deep in the earth, but it started as rain or snow. It takes years for this snow and rain to filter down through miles of rock, get heated by the magma from the volcano, and then rise to the surface again. But changing rain and snow amounts can affect the amount of water coming from springs and geysers. This part of the boardwalk goes just a short ways out of sight and ends at the trailhead for Mystic Falls, which is a regular footpath. The other thing that changes the water flow from geysers and pools would be earthquakes. Earthquakes can change the way rocks are underground, which changes the plumbing and passageways that the water runs out of to get out to the pools and geysers. This can increase their water flow or decrease it. And as you look at this meandering boardwalk, you may wonder, why does it go the way it goes? The park starts by having geologists use thermal imaging to find out where it's safe to put the boardwalks. Where is there hot water underground? Where is the ground itself hot? The second thing they do is they have botanists come and look at the plant life. Is there rare plants that we need to try to avoid disturbing with the boardwalk? They also have archaeologists take a look at the path they have decided to use to make sure that they don't disturb any archaeological artifacts or sites. I've tried to find out when the first boardwalks were built in the park, and I haven't really been able to figure that out, although I suspect they may have been started by the CCC, who worked in the park in the 30s and 40s. But if any of you know the answer to that, I'd love for you to leave a comment below. There are boardwalks in lots of parks, both city, state, national, across the country, to preserve the natural area, often in swampy or marshy areas. But I think the most well-known ones must be the ones in Yellowstone, where there are more than 15 miles of boardwalks. One thing to remember about boardwalks is that as you walk across them elevated above the ground, it does give you safety from the risk of being injured by the thermal effects. It does not, however, give you safety from animals. Bison, bear, deer are all perfectly capable of getting up on the boardwalk with you. So as you walk the boardwalks, don't forget to be aware of your surroundings. and keep a distance from the wildlife. There's another small geyser. There are bacteria that grow well in hot water, but even they have their limits. And you will notice that the water directly in the pool is clear. But as you get into the runoff and the water begins to cool a little, that's when you start to see the bacterial mats. They give it all its different colors. And here's one place where the boardwalk protects those bacterial mats as it lets the runoff run underneath the boardwalk and off in whatever direction it pleases. Different kinds of bacteria will leave different colors. And while you couldn't see one bacteria because they're microscopic, when they make colonies and bacterial mats, then you get to see the colors. Sometimes when the water changes direction, or if a thermal feature changes its behavior in some way, the boardwalks will even have to be moved. And here the runoff from one pool runs into another. Yellowstone is a very busy park in the summer. We are out at about 7:30 in the morning. And as you can see in the background there, the parking lot is already starting to fill up. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me. And please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, I would love to hear about them.